Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet, and today, my earliest childhood memory of confusion. As a child in Australia, particularly growing up in Canberra, Australia, between my relations that lived in Brisbane and lived in Adelaide, I had a very strange concept of geography. My geography was in fact so curious that by the time I got to age 4, I found it very difficult to talk to adults about geography. I really didn't correct this until I was probably about 6, through numerous corrections from my parents, but I couldn't understand because everywhere we went to required a car drive of at least a day, why all these places weren't in fact the same place. It made no sense to me. We got in a car, we drove past countless eucalypts and occasional freeways, and then we arrived at a place, and why wasn't it the same place every time? It made no sense to me. Through this early childhood, I concatenated a variety of locations and just assumed when we got in the car, we arrived at the same location because basically most of the people spoke the same, and there seemed to be countless houses that looked the same, and countless eucalypts, and although strangely I would see family members and relations only in particular locations, it just didn't seem to me like there was anything particularly different associated with what we were doing, probably because I spent a certain portion of the time sleeping in the car, and probably because I just found the whole thing relatively boring. It's actually difficult now as an adult because I have such a disdain for road trips. I don't really think of them as being particularly productive. I fly places occasionally, but the road trip, even the road trip to things in the near distant area, just strikes me as an unnecessary travel to a place that is probably the same. And increasingly I find this reinforcing. Increasingly I find the places that I go to just not particularly inspiring, and it comes from this early childhood experience. I put to my father once that if Adelaide was the same as Sydney and Sydney was the same as Brisbane, why didn't we just call all these places the same name? To which my father responded with a look of complete bemusement, which was actually typical of a large portion of my interaction with my father as a child. He tried to explain that they actually were very distinctly different places, drew on maps and locations, but I refused to believe him because ultimately the experience was the same no matter where we went. Strapped into a car, went on a journey, saw a bunch of trees, and then arrived at a location. There wasn't really a lot more for me to talk about. And from these experiences, I guess I've created my current perspective associated with travel, locations, journeys, these kind of things. Will I change in the foreseeable future? Perhaps. Will I educate future miscreants in this light? Perhaps. But for now, I put to you that no matter where you go, you end up in the same place. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.